That's my favorite thing that we've said today. It is because, I mean, especially in this group, right? In all of us and even across the cousins, it's just not how we do business. In the heart of all of us, it's not how we do business. We have been operating in a world and we've been trying to adapt our very open hearts to adapt to this very not us system, and it just doesn't work. And the only reason we've had to shove ourselves into this hole is because that this is all there is. And now enter the age of Aquarius, and now the world is shifting. The world is shifting, and it's shifting in our favor. And so I think it's our time to really not stay hidden, says the girl who never wants to be seen. But we can't stay hidden.
Welcome to the Osumaré Learning Podcast, where genius is celebrated, joy is the catalyst, and we learn most deeply by teaching what lights us up. I'm Portia Osumaré, executive learning producer, curriculum designer, and former high school math teacher, and lover of all things wisdom.
And I'm Portia Michele Osumaré, client experience designer, business coach, joy strategist, and a lifelong learner of the sacred and the strategic. Together, we're excavating wisdom from our brightest and most brilliant friends and partners, gaining insight that transform how we learn and how we teach in today's world.
So join us as we offer insights, community wisdom, and unique perspectives on experiential learning. So welcome to the show.
Hello, and welcome to the Osumaré Learning Podcast. My name is Portia Michele Osumaré. Portia Osumaré is here holding it down in studio with us. And today, yet again, rounding out our season. This is going to be the last podcast in our State of 2026 series. And we always got to round it out with operations. We are going over the operations area of business today. And I have my full ops squad, which I'm I don't know how a miracle happened, but we give thanks. These are the magical human beings that sit inside the Business Cousins community as the operations support squad. They are the folks who are hosting the office hours with you week over week, having conversations with you about how you're running your business. And they tend to hold a lot of the heavy lifting. I think y'all are the people who I think have the most office hours inside of our Business Cousins community, because I think that ops is one of those areas where there are lots of different things that folks can be asking about. And this crew is so well resourced in being able to support our people and kind of navigating the individuality of how folks are customizing how they operate their businesses. And so this is going to be our last podcast in this series. And when I talk about the area of business of operations, today we're really going to be talking about the routines, the structures of how you show up to your business, right? There's a lot of what you do. This conversation is going to be all about how you do it. And the interesting thing about operations that I always tell people is if you are looking to have more peace in how you experience your business, the first place to look is your operations. How you're spending time every single day tells me more about how you're going to love or hate your business than anything else, even more than how much money you have coming in, right? It's what you do with your time. And so today we're going to be having a conversation about operations, right? About what we see coming down the pike for 2026, 2026 being such a pivotal year, after having 6 other conversations at this point with all of our other areas of business. One of the things that has been so loud for all of us is that 2026 really sets up the next decade in some ways. And it's part of the reason why we're going so hard to talk about it now and get you prepared this year, is also because 2025 was such a pivotal year for a lot of us. 2025 cleared the landscape in a lot of ways. And so for a lot of us, we got rid and shed a whole lot of stuff in our lives, but also in our businesses. So how do you operate now that those things are moving? What does it look like to be operating while you're newly discovering some things for yourself, right? How do you make sure that that structure and stability that you're craving, that is available by having a strong arm around your operations area of business, is available to you as you're creating a new vision for yourself, or maybe casting a new future, imagining yourself free in your business, right? What does the operations need to look like that actually will house and hold all of that? And so who we've got on the call today is really our overarching queen of operations, Miss Peya Robbins. We have got Mycah, who literally has been holding all of the operational tech. If you are in a portal, if you have, ever come through any of our digital products, Mycah and Merkaba Technology create all of those. Mycah is also a productivity specialist inside of our community, kind of supporting our neurodivergent folks and kind of navigating what their weekly workflows and things look like. And then we also have Pia Malika here, our automation specialist, talking all things, I want to do it. So how do we get the thing to do it? What does the Zap do to the DAP? How do I get one thing to talk to the other? That is Pia and Pia Malika's world. It is so good to be with you all. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for having us, Portia.
Thanks for having us.
I'm excited. I love it. And I'm also laughing because this is also my introvert crew. I'm like, who wants to go first? Everyone's like, I'm like, who has things to say? They're like, we're the operations people. We all want to drive. I love it. I love it. Again, the ops people be holding all the secrets. So I am going to start us off and give us a bit of a frame. And Peya, I'm starting off with you, my darling, as people who the two of us have lots and lots of conversations about how folks are navigating their suffering or not suffering inside of their businesses. I know you have lots to say in that lane. But I'll start us off with a question around what are you seeing for 2026 in regards to themes that are coming up for businesses over and over and over again that they need to really be prepared for as 2026 kind of presents some unique and different changes, maybe even some challenges there?
I think one thing you mentioned in your beautiful intro is that if nothing else, what 2025 taught us and what we should be preparing for in 2026 is that we can't run our businesses the way we have been running them. It's just not sustainable. There's no way we're going to grow. There are people who want to scale. There are people who always talk about scaling. You're not going to scale in the same way that looked this year, last year, 10 years ago. It just doesn't look that way. And it definitely is not going to feel that way. And if you keep trying to do that in those ways, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to start polishing off your resume come March. You're going to start applying for jobs and entering that rat race. And ultimately, you don't want that, or you may want that. And some people are going to have to come to terms with maybe entrepreneurship, maybe I'm done with this. Maybe this part of my life is done and I'm going to do something else. And I think it's time to be really real with ourselves and decide we're at the edge now. And now we got to decide, are we going to turn around and go back? Or are we going to jump off into this new adventure?
Love. I think that's definitely something that we're seeing across the board that everybody also needs to be thinking about. And I think, if I'm honest, the future of creative employment it's changing. The landscape is changing. I think that folks who are in 9-to-5s realize how unsafe that space is and how smart it is for you to have an entrepreneurial mindset to be able to have something that keeps you safe in case the powers that be decide they want to do something else. You have the ability to be able to keep your bills paid. But I feel the same way about entrepreneurs. It's stupid of you not to have a corporate strategy, because the truth is we have to get more nimble on both sides. But for you, Peya, what are the things that you feel like people should change quickly? What are the things that you feel like people are tolerating in their business that is just keeping them stuck? It's actually keeping them from maybe the decision to scale in that same way.
I feel like I'm calling myself out a little bit here because I had to work through some of this, the second half of this year. But we need to stop comparing our businesses to other people's businesses. Even I'm in an ops space, stop comparing myself to other operators. You all know me. The way I run ops is not the way ops is taught. It is not the way ops is typically advertised if you go on LinkedIn. That's not the way I do it. We need to stop comparing. No one's going to run a business the way I run a business. We also need to incorporate, and I know that this is something, I learned this actually after meeting Mycah, and this is when I started to take it seriously. You have to incorporate rest into that's part of your operational structure. We're burning out. It's not we're going to burn out. We are burning out. Stars do die. People, I'm an Aquarius. I'm gonna tell you, my brain is in space 80% of my day. Stars will die and we're just gonna burn out. And that's no way. If I'm dead tired, I'm not waking up to check a ClickUp board. Please, a Notion board. Please don't send me any notification because I don't want it. I don't care about your little launch. I'm going to bed because I've had enough. People need to incorporate all those things and realize that it is not That conversation, if we could stop this immediately, let's not even wait till 2026. If we could stop the conversation of put on your marketing hat, let's put on our CEO cap. If I never hear that shit again, can we curse here? Well,
yes.
We must, because
this is a fuck friendly place.
Okay. Like, there are no hats. There are no hats. You are a whole person who is skilled in marketing and is a CEO of your business, who happens to write really dope emails, who is really great at networking. You're a complete human. Just the same way you know how to walk and chew gum and tie your shoes, and you're a great artist, and you can color inside the lines, and you're a great gamer. All of those things exist at the same time. You're not a gamer and a mom, and you're just a person. That's the way you are in your business, and you need to treat it as such. They're not hats. You're a multifaceted person, and you need to treat it that way. If you are tired, you can't run your business. If you are stressed about something, because life is lifing as it does, and it has for the past since January 1st especially, you need to schedule time to allow yourself time to breathe and get back in it. Because if you're struggling through things, there's no way. You're not good to yourself. You're not good to anybody else.
That's a very good point.
That's the biggest thing that I've seen. So it's not like the operation. It's not just your system of my Notion, my ConvertKit, my whatever. The system is also you. You're part of that. And if yourself as the system is broken, it doesn't matter what automation you have set up, what beautiful little website none of that shit matters. If this system, I'm pointing at myself if you can't see, I don't know how this is being sent out, but like, if your mind is broken, like, you're not doing anything. You're not good to anybody.
Love. And also, this is a video podcast. We can see everything that's happening.
Okay, perfect. Hi.
And for, all accessibilities, everything we do with our hands, it's a good idea to let people know that that's happening. To be nice and accessible. But I think you're 100% correct there. And I think that it's interesting though, because I think when we think about the operations of the business, folks often immediately go to how the business runs, and they don't think about the operations of themselves. But most of the people who are in front of us have teams of less than 5. So how you're showing up to your day-to-day is an ops conversation. And to be honest, most of the operations that need to be set up for the business are dictated around how you want to work. So I also heard in Peya there, like, the conversation around really customizing your workflow around you and feeling, I'm interested there to kind of also explore a little bit more there of like, so the truth is, the marketing got to get done, the finance got to get done, the sales got to get done. And if I'm not putting on a different hat every time and I'm just a multifaceted person, how do you suggest that people show up to integrating all of those parts into their whole, and how they show up to their every single day activities?
I think you have to have really good rhythm. You have to know where your strengths are, and then really capitalize on those things. Surprisingly, a really eloquent writer. I can sit down and write an email or write a social media post like nobody's business. And even without the use of AI, like, I can sit there and write something that can be published. I'm not doing that on a Friday. I'm beat on a Friday. So I'm not going to schedule planning next week's content on a Friday. I know myself, but Monday's my favorite day of the week. Monday, I come into work, I'm up at 6 a.m. I have a meeting with an international client at 6:30. I'm up and at 'em. I'm gonna write a month's worth of content for somebody on a Monday. You have to understand your rhythms, but yourself, like what you're about. And then you get to, the same way you get to know yourself, you get to know your team. So if you do have a team, then like, I work with there's one person on my team. Her birthday just passed. We didn't work that day. And she was like, oh, I noticed there were stuff on here and now there's no things. And I was like, it's your birthday. We don't work on your birthday. That's a holiday. And that's like, you build culture with you. But that's because I know her. Like, I know her. I've gotten to know her. I know her family. Like, we just build those things in. The more you know yourself, the more I can show up as me and all the things that are important. Y'all all know it's birthday season. My kid's birthday was, at the time of recording this podcast, my kid's birthday was yesterday. Birthday season has commenced in my house, and we don't stop until March. So that's where my focus is. So now it's super light. We're sending out renewals. Content has been scheduled through like January so far. We're just fixing to give us breathing room. Because on my husband's birthday, are you going to be stressing me out about like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. It's Capricorn season. And then when Aquarius season comes around, please don't piss me off because I will walk out of here. So you build your system, you build your structure. But again, because I know how I like to work, I have to know how I like to work. I could force myself. That whole, what's that thing? What do they sell? What's that thing called? Like the ops in a box or launch in a box?
Yeah.
Bitch, that's not real. That is not real because I'm so different than most people. Just like you're so different than most people and Pia's so different than most people. Mycah so different. We're all so fucking different. There is no person in a box. That's not real. So when you buy those things, yes, the marketing is great. And you're like, oh my gosh, everything I need. And like a cute little template that I can just blah, blah. And then you get it and you're like, oh, this is so overwhelming. It's overwhelming because you are not a person that can be put in a box. You're a human. And if you were just, instead of spending that money, if you spent like 3 days really paying attention to your rhythms in your business and what you're actually doing, or doing some like time audit and marking down like, okay, I scrolled TikTok for half an hour and then I wrote some content and then I had a client meeting and then I scrolled TikTok again, and you pay attention to those patterns, that would be more beneficial to you to figure out where you can fix your workflow than some shit in a box.
I'm loving this. I'm going to pull out some kind of do's and don'ts that I'm hearing in there. I hear Peya also saying, do a time audit, right? Start to get to know how you're spending your time. Start to get to know what you want out of a business. Don't buy plug and play shit that's not going to be customized to you. Because I think that what I'm hearing here more than anything is before you can make an operations plan, you got to know who you are and what kind of business you want to run. And something I heard behind what you were saying, Peya, also that I think is really interesting is understanding what phase of business you're in, right? You know in your life that you want your months to be set up to have a little bit more freedom during birthday season because you stop and sat down and go, okay, my business needs to contract a little bit during this season so that I can actually be more present in other areas. But you would need to be able to self-assess what phase that you're in so that you would know how to then show up to that phase. And I can imagine for a lot of you all who are listening to this, you're like, girl, I don't know. I have no idea. Come and ask Peya at office hours. Come sit in Peya's face and be like, this is where it hurts. And let someone like Peya go, here's where I would suggest you lean in to start to really examine and really look at your workflows. I'm going to kind of pop us here. And Mycah, I think I'll go to you first. Any reflections that you're having of kind of what Peya is saying? Anything sparking for you, or any other do's or don'ts that you're hearing in there?
First off, we can just cut the podcast. Peya wrapped it up for me. It's truly said everything that I've been thinking. And it's so interesting. The one thing that stood out to me was the template part. And it's so interesting as a Notion consultant, the Notion community, we had a very much of a template era. And the main thing that was getting talked about this year in our meetup for the Make with Notion event was how the template era is dead. And it's so interesting because for the very reasons Peya said, you can buy this template for $5 for free. People were giving their templates for free. People were paying $300 for templates. People were paying more than that. But did you actually put yourself in the template? And that's the part that majority of people are missing. And I think it's one thing to take someone's template and to use it for what it was for, but people don't take the next step, which is, okay, you walk yourself through this, or you learn this concept, you learn this system, or you put your workflow into this. And I think that is where the new era with Notion consultants are actually happening, where we're actually helping you walk through those steps. We're being that advocate. We're teaching you Notion at a different level. And we're teaching you your workflows and showing you how you can make that flow, which is what Peya was talking about. I call it a dance. You're dancing you're doing a dance. You're playing a game every single week with yourself, and make sure that you're having fun while you're playing it. Make sure it's uniquely to your vibe and what you want to do. How do you want to go through your week? How do you want your workspace to feel when you're going through it? And so that is the secret sauce that I think majority of people are missing, is that they do not have a workflow. They don't. And if you don't have that, you don't know yourself. And if you're not knowing yourself in those areas, how can you lead a team? How can you tell your team what you need, right? Like, you don't know those things. And so you're probably asking for something that is the loudest thing in your space, but not your actual need, right? Or you're in response to. Think about what that's doing to your nervous system. Think about the stress that you're putting yourself through when you're always in response to, right? And if you're doing that week after week after week, guess where we end up? Burnout every time.
That. And again, this is why I say it is not your marketing and your sales that is the access to peace 9 times out of 10. It is how you operate the business is what's going to tell me whether you're going to be in a constant state of burnout. Because to Mycah's point, we're not the AI, by the way. BT dubs, you are flesh and blood. You do have a season of rest. Every mammal, every animal has to rest in between the sprints. And even tech needs to be edited from time to time. It's not like it's a set it and forget it. These, to a certain extent, even the organisms that are not living move like living and breathing organisms that need to be checked, adjusted. And also something that you said, Mycah, in there that I think is reminding me of what Nicole said on our marketing podcast earlier this week. This is a level of, I know people listening to this are going to be like, I don't even know where to start with that, because it is a level of expertise. And guess what? You don't have to know everything. Go sit in front of somebody who is not as emotionally attached to your business to tell you, oh, by the way, you could probably do something different there. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know, but like, you seem to hate this. I may be able to give you some other options that you hate less. This is why you surround yourself and network with experts that actually do this all day long, because there's no way you're going to be as good at it and look at it from the same level as somebody who's just looking at this all day long. Like, I love so much about what you said there. Pia, I'm going to take it to you. Anything that's sparking for you out of this conversation? Any do's and don'ts that you're hearing in that?
To be honest, I'm still stuck on the opening line. Old systems gotta go. Yeah, so don't do old systems. Reinvent customized systems, right? Yeah, that opening line, because I was coming in with that, ready to bring something like that into the conversation as well. We can't do things like we used to. And to be honest, you have to build your systems in a way that you're always catching up, because even the system you reinvent is going to expire next week. So it's back to the organism conversation, right? That you brought up. Like, you have to build your system like it's an organism. It's constantly growing with you.
That's a really good quotable also. Build your system like it's an organism. And I think that there's something that entrepreneurs just love is a set it and forget it. This is not a crock pot, girl. Like, to a certain extent, you're going to have to.
That don't work no more.
Be in relationship with it if you want it to keep working. Because I do think we're in an interesting decade coming up. And Mycah, I'll throw to you kind of next in regards to this conversation, but we're in a really interesting decade coming up where the likelihood of you being able to know what's directly in front of you is not high. We're going to be building the plane while we're on it even more in this next couple of years. As systems in our world shift and change, certainty is not as clear. And so it's going to be, to me, I think, even more important, to Pia's point, that you're closer to your system and that you're making the adjustments when necessary. Nobody's saying change your system every single day, but nobody's also saying don't do anything every quarter. There should be things that you've learned about how you work your business that should affect how the system holds you in the business to make sure that the new priorities that you want are actually available. I love that, Pia. And I do think that concept of what got you here won't get you where you're going. It's incredibly important that you know where you are, so you know what got you here, what works that you want to continue doing, what stopped working, and what won't get you to the next place that you actually want to go. Love that conversation. Mycah, if you don't open us up in this conversation, what are you seeing as you are, in the Notion world, as you're in the world with people who are talking about like workflow and productivity and some of those kind of conversations? You and I fight like two feral cats in the bag because I hate the word fucking productivity.
We're reframing it, Portia. We're reframing it. We're taking it back.
Okay, we love a take back. Now, what I will do is one of those. I love
we're taking it back, and we're bringing a new meaning behind it. So don't worry.
Okay, I will give you that. Again, this is the gorgeous thing about doing work with your best friend, is that we can fight about these particular little pieces. And, for also people who are listening, me and Mycah used to be on a podcast where literally we would just disagree for hours, and it was my favorite thing ever.
True banter.
The best times. But Bess, come onto this conversation. What is it that you're seeing, and what do you think that we really need to be preparing for based on what it is that you're seeing?
Yeah, AI is here, y'all. It's here, and it's not going anywhere. And it's going to shift everything. It's like because I'm a 90s baby, but we got some 80s babies in here.
Truly.
It's like when the computer hit and the internet hit and it was dial-up. And like we talking about dial-up, we sound old. It's like that. Like what we know AI to be right now, which is just like mind blowing us, it won't even be like that in 5 years. And it's going to be everywhere and in every workspace. It's going to be on your phone. It's going to be on Canva. It's everywhere in your emails. So I think, it could be very overwhelming to walk into it and to see it everywhere. And I think the first place to really just start with it is just embracing that it's going to change things and seeing, where would you like it to help optimize your area, and really starting there first, because so those are the main things that I'm seeing. I'm seeing everyone be like, well, do I want an AI twin? Do I want, everyone's trying to figure out how they're going to implement it into their business. And I think it's freaking cool. I love to see things get optimized. And faster ways of doing things. So I always think it's cool. I also think there's problematic parts to it. I'm seeing AI in the doctor's office. Absolutely not. I could have did that. There's certain areas where it's problematic. But I do think as far as when we're talking about business, if you want me to pop it to some do's and don'ts, I can absolutely start.
Well, real quick, actually right here, give me an idea
Sure.
of the ways in which you're seeing AI show up and how people are going about their workflows that are working, or things that you want people to even explore or think about.
Yeah, it could be a team member. It could literally be a team member in your business and a thought processor with you, and someone who can do all the little mundane things that keep you from actually keeping yourself organized. And it could go click those buttons for you. It's like ideal experience. When I'm, myself personally, I feel like when I walk into my workspace, I am now having a conversation with my AI agent. Like it is a full throttle, we're in chat. And so I think that's way better to enter into and less overwhelming to enter into than a workspace where it's like I have to manually click all of these things by myself, or you're feeling alone. You're feeling like I have to go and reach out to my team members, It's just a different type of vibe. I'm seeing people where, things that took them hours or things that would have been a complete project, not be a complete project because you just gave it to your AI agent to do it for you and they can do it faster. They just can because they have a different type of access. And so I think those are the things that I'm really seeing AI be able to do as far as like what is done for me personally and what I'm seeing other people do across the board.
And for those of you all, who may be listening pensively like, what should I be doing with AI? What should I not? We recorded a very interesting podcast in this season with Aaron Austin, who is an IP lawyer. And we talked about protecting your intellectual property in the world of AI. And there are definitely some do's and don'ts if you want to copyright your stuff. But I think when we talk about a place where I kind of feel like AI is a safer place to practice a little bit more broadly, it kind of is in your ops and your workflows because it's just you and you, right? It's like, oh, well, I didn't like this, and so maybe let's do something else. It's much different than like it wrote some sort of content for you that's going to live forever on the internet versus you just used it to help organize your tasks. Actually, to me, what you're saying, it gives me the feeling that this is actually a safer place to play and actually discover, in some of the other areas that they're still figuring out the legislation around.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Give me anything else, Mycah, that is coming up for you that you're seeing that entrepreneurs are bumping up against in 2025 that you feel like is even going to be louder as a trend coming in 2026. And then you're welcome to get into your do's and don'ts.
I think as far as when it comes to workspaces where I'm noticing, it's one thing to have like an AI where it's giving you general information, but it's another to have it feel like it's a part of your team. And I think that's what's going to really shift the difference. And I think that is where Notion is ahead of the game. And I'm glad they waited to roll their AI because they watched the AI culture. They watched it and then they said, okay, this is what we want to do with it. Because, we can go on ChatGPT and we can get tons of information from ChatGPT. Before AI was in Notion, I was absolutely using ChatGPT a lot. That was the main AI system that I used. But it's another one that's connected to your goals and your journaling and what you're doing with your team and your grocery list and like all these other things of your workspace, depending on how you want to do it, whether your workspace is personal and business. And and someone helping you along the way, which helps, again, talk back to burnout and energy levels and knowing yourself and something that's tailored to you uniquely. This thing would be tailored to you uniquely automatically, in a way it starts to learn you, as long as you set it up correctly. But like, as far as those things, this will adapt to your needs and what you're actually asking it to do. And it's a lot faster than, having to do something manually and then you create that workflow around that. And then you have to maintain it yourself. You can kind of maintain it with the team member, which feels a little bit different.
And I think that, Pia, I'm going to throw to you once we get to Mycah's do's and don'ts, because I know I learned everything about AI from you. And I feel like it was crazy because we were having this conversation like 2019. Yeah. Like, what was there and around, because I think that there's a difference between, this is like me talking about sports, creative, general AI, right? Which is like your Chat GPTs, your Geminis, your Claudes. And then there's, I think what I'm hearing you say is the birth of the AI agent, right? So it's one thing that there's somebody who you can talk through things with. It's another thing to have an AI agent that can do things on your behalf. And I think what I'm hearing you say, Mycah, is that the future of 2026 is start to experiment with the AI doing things on your behalf.
That is correct. That is correct.
Love and love. Okay. Give us your do's and don'ts. Anything else that you're seeing in 2026 that you want us to be focused on or not focused on, or anything of that nature.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the don'ts.
Fantastic. We love it.
I think for sure, don't just go for the newest shiny AI situation. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I've seen how this can affect in general, just like how I was talking about earlier when it comes to templates. Everyone jumped on the template bandwagon, was willing to download other people's methodologies of how they do things. That's what you did. It's different. You don't want to do that because you find yourself being like, well, I don't really work that way. Or, well, how do I get it to actually say things I wanted to say in my workspace? So same thing with the AI agents. Don't go with the most shiniest thing, right? Start with what you know already. The next thing is do not learn it. Just like we see people now, who didn't want to learn the computer, who was anti it, don't have an email, they are behind. We don't even understand someone not having an email. We don't understand why you can't sign up for something. You will be behind if you don't learn the basic things of what is necessary or how can you get the most out of an AI. Whether it's you're generating it with Chat GPT or you actually have an agent, So actually learn it and learn what it's looking for. And then the next thing is, it is just not a push of a button. It is not just, I push this button and it's going to do everything I need it to do. No, you have to give it your IP. You have to give it your knowledge and what you want it to put out. So those are the don'ts of don't just think it's a push of a button. My do's, I think, is learn where you want to start is actually in the platform that you're using the most. So if you're a content creator, and you use Canva like left and right, and that is the main source that you're in, learn their AI. Learn their AI. Go YouTube tunneling, like YouTube rabbit hole, and learn everything you can. Become an expert in the platforms that you're using.
I love that.
If Notion is your thing, do it with Notion. If Asana is your thing, do it with Asana. And why that's important is because those are the main areas that you're in. So that's your do. Another thing is, get training. I see people right now who have training in AI Twin, right? Dope. Can't think of her name, but she's really, really dope and very popular in marketing. Go get some training by her. She's the expert. So if you've ran out of YouTube videos, because that's my thing, I'm going to watch every YouTube known to man about this particular topic, and then I'll go get the expert, right? So then go get the expert and learn all the tips and tricks about it, right? And then create your workflow. So we're back to, regardless, it's going to come back to workflow, because really what workflow is you knowing yourself. So another thing is learn yourself, know yourself, right? And in that, you'll create your workflow. And in that, you give that workflow to whatever AI it is. That doesn't matter if it's content creation. You have to tell the Canva how you would like your content to be conducted, what colors, what branding, what type of style you have. So that's another do, is make sure you create your workflow and know yourself.
Real quick clarification, because again, the operations girlies always are like, workflows, AI, and like, what does that even mean? So if somebody's listening to this and they've never really understood what a workflow is, what is your working definition of a workflow? When you say understand your workflows, what does that actually mean to the average entrepreneur?
Ooh, I don't think I can sum this up in a sentence, but I could sum it up and I can't. Maybe somebody else can do that, but I could sum it up on how my understanding is of it. So my understanding of a workflow is it's really your cadence that you're doing throughout the day. And that's the best part about the workflow, because it could be whatever you want it to be. Just like how Peya said earlier, on Fridays, I'm not making that bomb email. It's not happening. She knows herself enough to know my workflow does not work with content on Fridays, but my workflow works really well on Monday mornings, on Tuesday. So on Mondays, what vibe you should be having on Mondays is whatever's going to help cultivate that content, because you know you have to get out content for your business, right? So that is like the high level of a workflow on what kind of dictates what that workflow is going to be, right? Where's my most successful time of doing it? And then let me make sure to do it during those times, right? And then another step of workflow, I think, is that step-by-step guide to kind of get you to make sure you are putting out the most efficient situation, whether it be tasks, whether it be content, whether it be client experience, whether it be whatever it is, the most efficient way of getting that out. So if on Monday we're talking about content, Peya knows, hey, at 10 o'clock, I'm at my desk. First thing I need to do at my desk to get myself in a vibe is I'm going to go play my little Beyonce playlist. It's going to get me in a good little vibe. Cool. I've grounded myself. I maybe journal a little bit. I'm talking about the workflow. This is the dance that I'm talking about. It's a cadence that's happening. Okay, once I finish that, okay, now I feel good. Maybe I'll go read a couple of LinkedIn posts, or what's going to inspire my next post, or maybe something that happened this weekend. What was last weekend and what happened that inspired me to have this post? Oh, this is what I want to talk about. Okay, then you create your copy. You know exactly where you're going. I use my content tracker. I'm going into my content tracker, right? Or I'm going to ChatGPT and I just start journaling, or I'm writing it down, whatever that flow is. And then you know what's next and what's next. By the end of that dance, you have ended up publishing something. That is a workflow from top to bottom of what's going to be the most efficient way that you can get something done.
And I'm also hearing in there, like, this is the operating procedure portion of a standard operating procedure, right? It's like, wait, before you standardize it, you know what I mean? It is like, what are you actually doing, right? Yeah. What are you actually doing? Is it actually working? What's the most efficient way for you to actually do it? Feels like kind of also the smarter than a fifth grader version of like really breaking it down to brass tacks. Because I think this also speaks to Peya's point, is it's like, it doesn't actually matter what it is. It just matters that you know what it is. Yeah. And that it works, right?
And that's why SOPs is so interesting, because I remember this happening in PM & Co. You was like, well, the way that Audrey does this SOP, that step-by-step process, is completely different, Mycah, of how you would have done it. That's why the SOP is like, this is just the standard. This is just like, we just need something on the board that we at least know, check these things off. Now, how Audrey goes about her workflow on how she does it is uniquely to Audrey. We'll never know unless she tells us. Just as long as she got those key bullet points and checked those things off. She could have been dancing while she was checking off a task. No one knows, right? But as long as she got it done and she checked off those items, we're good, right? So always think about those things. And I love how you were like, it's the SOP before the SOP. Yes. That's exactly what it is. And that's what makes it yours, right?
You need the P before we get to the S and the O. Peya, I'm actually going to throw to you first, and then Pia, we're coming to you, because I know that you have all the definitions for all things, because it's interesting, because by the time you get to automations, it has got to be really crisp and clean, because what am I automating if I don't know kind of what those pieces are? But so Peya, I'll go to you first. Any reflections from anything that Mycah said, anything that's sparking for you that you heard in there that you wanted to double down around?
I think the recognition of being an 80s kid when like AOL came out and all that, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're talking to strangers on the internet. Like, I feel like those are the people that said that, but then are the same people that are like, oh my gosh, you're using AI to like write your content.
We're hilarious. Why was I thinking the same thing? Literally, I was like, remember when we were talking to old men on the internet and we just, it was normal?
Right. And we're just like, whatever. They asked me ASL, so I'm answering. Like, what are you talking about? What does it matter? But like, I mean, it's also, the world is different. But I mean, it's the same. I just love that I never had put that together. Like, it's the same reaction. But that's the reaction when anything new comes out. It's just the sign of the times that things are changing, and we're obviously not going to go backwards. Like, I could just imagine the collective crash out if like AI was turned off tomorrow. People would literally lose their minds. But I also love the using AI as your team member. That's my favorite. Because like, do a time audit and then give that little spreadsheet, or even if you handwrite it and pop that in and say like, analyze this for me, please. And say your please and thank yous, because when the robots come, I know I will be blessed and highly favored, because I always say my please and thank yous to AI.
Exactly.
But you can't see yourself. You're inside, what is it? You're inside the jar. You can't see the label from inside the jar. But AI can see you and can be like, hey, girl, you spent this week 8 hours and 43 minutes scrolling TikTok. Perhaps that's not the best use of your time if you're trying to be a ruler of an empire in this particular field. Maybe we should reappropriate some of that time to something else. Maybe we should be writing content during this time. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you won't see it. So I think there's so many good uses to AI. And also, as far as the workflow, for me, the workflow is how you do what you do, which is not the same as how I do what I do. And I think that's the important part. None of us are a template. We're all very different in how we do things.
The Osumaré Learning Podcast is brought to you by two sponsors that are near and dear to our hearts, because we built them. First up, Business Cousins. Business Cousins is a collective of called to serve leaders who are building businesses that create impact that actually matters. We're about doing real good in the world, giving people the results they paid for, and having a damn good time doing it. If you're into running a business that you actually love, hanging out with smart and soulful folks while you do it, and being supported every step of the way, this may be the room for you. We host gatherings, workshops, and offer ongoing business development support that's as human as it is helpful. If you're interested, apply today at thebusinesscousin.com. Check us out at www.thebusinesscousin.com. And then there's the Author's Leverage. That's our studio for turning your body of work into powerful learning tools. Whether it's digital workbooks, private podcasts, or binge-worthy education content that helps you scale your impact without burning out, we specialize in transforming complex ideas into accessible, engaging learning experiences that your audience will actually use and implement. Our team of expert creators, instructional designers, and production specialists ensure that your wisdom reaches more people in the ways that truly resonate. If you're an expert, author, thought leader, sitting on brilliance, let us help you package it. Learn more at theauthorsleverage.com. That is theauthorsleverage.com. And honestly, I think this year it's going to be louder more than ever how much of a template you're not. Pia, I'm going to throw to you kind of next. Particularly in this AI conversation, one, are there any definitions you need to give us? Because I know you have them, right? If you want to define what a workflow feels like to you, or the difference between the AI systems. And then I really want to get into kind of with you at this first moment of like, where does the AI work and where does it not? Because I also think it is not a team member. However, it can be really helpful to a team member if you have one, but someone has to be the one that's doing this to the AI.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm just like wiggling in my seat this whole time because I've been dancing with AI since and that was way before it hit mainstream, right? Because the only people who were really using AI were just corporations, right? Not the consumer population. Right. And so being in the tech world that early, we're all anticipating the moment it reaches people. Right. And how scary that's going to be. So for years, I'm anticipating, and now we're here. Right. And only if you know what the gravity of that actually is. Right. So that's why I'm over here wiggling, because we have so much to learn. But I'm also impressed by how much we've adapted so far, to be honest. So going into the definitions before I dive into that, workflow, what came to mind was workflow is a step-by-step process designed to optimize your results, like your intended results, right? And it can be as simple as making a sandwich, right? My workflow around creating my sandwich is going to be a very particular way, because I know when I'm going to eat that sandwich and bite into it, I want it to taste and crunch and be juicy in just the perfect way for the intended results of just being fully nourished by that sandwich, right? It's not falling out, it's not leaking or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that workflow is going to look different for everyone because what that intended results is going to be very particular to you. So that step-by-step process is going to be very particular to you. So that's how I would define a workflow. Was there another definition? It was around AI.
Yes. What is to you an AI agent? And what do they do and what don't they do for folks who may not really understand that terminology?
Right. So an AI agent is basically like a bot. And I feel like before AI agents came about, people knew as bots as like fake humans online. People were like, oh, that's a bot. I mean, there's a fake human and it's not a human. It's a computer programmed to do activity, maybe impersonating a human. And that's a bot. And again, in the corporate world, use bots to take action behind the scenes, internal processes, right? So like when something happens, we want to automate it to do something else, and a bot has to go in there and click the button because there aren't API endpoints available to make it happen, right? It needs to crawl the browser and pretend to be a mouse that's dragged by a human, right? But it's really just a bot. Now with AI, I think AI agents are just kind of like bots in the sense that it is a computer program to replicate a human to a certain extent. But, you know, the certain extent is important to know because, you know, humans can click buttons, right? So can bots, right? Can a human feel? I mean, can a bot feel? No, that's humans feel. So when you want to use AI agents, it's to do the things that are tedious, that you don't need any emotional being to do. You know, it's just click that button, you know, send that email. Who's writing the email? This is where it gets a little tricky. People use AI to write emails. I'll say use AI to draft, right? You always need that human touch to finalize the thing, to make it personal, because we're going to know. Because everyone's using AI now, we're going to know when it's AI. We're going to know, oh, AI wrote that, you know, and that's going to hurt you. So don't just let AI write your things, you know, let it draft your things, right? But then that even comes with like do's and don'ts. Because you have to be particular on how you feed the information to AI and also train it to be honest, to be truthful, to be considerate. It's not going to know to do those things unless you tell it. So there's a lot of training that is very important with agents. So what I would say is if you're interested in using an AI agent, learn about the ethics around training them. Because that's going to be the differentiator in regards to long-term scalability.
Love that you just said that. And it was so interesting, again, having a conversation with a lawyer, a copyright lawyer, about what AI possibilities or not, you know, was so interesting and informative. And then also in our marketing conversation, one of the things that was really loud is, you know, we're in a trust recession and we're being inundated and sold with so much AI. So when we talk about your outgoing distribution, riskier with an AI agent, your internal creation, much less risky, right? If something goes wrong, it's a little bit easier to fix because your reputation isn't exactly on the line. But I love also what you said about the thing around things that you can click, right? Things that don't necessarily take a lot of emotion. But I also heard behind that things that don't take a lot of discernment. Humans, beings are still the best person to make a decision about what gets clicked.
Right.
And I think as entrepreneurs, we're like, oh, someone's going to come, is going to make 5 decisions for me because I make 100 a day. Hey, I don't think it's there yet, babe. I don't think 2026 is the year yet for you to be able, again, it's not a crock pot. The set it and forget it.
More training for that.
We're not there. It's still, you know, chat rooms with 95-year-old men talking to children. Unfortunately, that's what it was in 2004 or 2002. It was just like, oh, we don't even know that that's there yet. We're in the beginning stages. And Pia, it's been so interesting being connected to you for so long now, because I think as a non-technical person, I've learned so much about the phases of tech and how long things need to glitch and break before things actually seem semi-functional. Like what we view AI as right now, to Mycah's point, won't even be functional in 5 years.
Right.
And so I think I love so much that you said, like, be learning what it is that you need to know around it. And, you know, be careful about the ethics piece, because I do also think, you know, you putting personal information inside that thing, be making sure that you're clicking the things that, you know, allow you to protect the things that really matter to you. One thing I learned from you, if the product is free, you're the product. Not If a tech product is free, you are the product. It is not, to be the technical application. So be clear about when you're going into some of these free AIs, like what it is that your ethical responsibility is in it. Read the fine print, particularly if you're going to be using it a lot. I love that. Outside of AI in general, Pia, I'm interested in your thoughts from the automations lane, right? Because AI and automations, that's a great definition to give us. What are the difference between an AI agent and automating things inside of your business? And let me know anything that you're seeing as far as the next year is the future of what automations look like.
Yeah, differentiating them is good because at least where we are today, it's going to be completely entangled today. Yeah. So, AI stands for artificial intelligence. So artificial meaning it's not like a natural organism, organic being with that intelligence. It's a computer that we program to be intelligent and make intelligent decisions. Like it will do outside of what you program. That's what AI does. So like what you program it is just like, because it almost like it's living like a fake organism. So it's going to keep learning and building off of itself. That's what makes it intelligent, right? As opposed to an automation, it won't grow itself. It's going to do exactly what you say, and it's not going to veer off of that. And if anything changes outside of it, it will break because it didn't adapt. Automation doesn't adapt on its own. You have to go in there and update it. But AI will adapt on its own, right? Especially how you program it, because it is based on how you program AI, based on how it's going to grow on its own. Yeah. Is that a good definition?
Yeah, very, very good. Very, very clear to me also in regards to how those work. Now, I'm interested, again, I imagine, like you said, if they're going to be enmeshed, right? What happens when you put them together?
Yeah. Ooh, that's when it can get crazy, right? Because I'm working on a team that is building an automation platform. So let's say like Zapier or Make that has AI built into the builder in a way that it will adapt on its own.
Got it. So it's automations that adapt are the future, it seems to me, like of what things that are coming down the pipe.
Yeah, because like imagine custom, like you have, the thing is automations can never enter the picture until you have a system already, right?
Yeah, and there's no automating without a workflow. Like we got to know what we're automating.
Exactly. Workflow must be defined. So if you have your workflow defined, I'm going to assume it is perfect, right? Because you did the work on perfecting that process, right? And now all we need to do is automate it so that this perfect system lives and breathes while you sleep, right? And that's where the set it and forget it came from, right? But now we're in a world where we can't just set it and forget it. So now building in AI into your automation will not only reverse engineer your current process that you're probably doing manual, right? But it will grow with you. So as your process changes next quarter, because it will, potentially you can have an AI automated system that also adapts those changes and recommends, okay, this is what we need to shift to adapt to the new version of this new platform that is a requirement in your system.
That makes sense to me. And so I guess maybe last question's kind of in there for folks that are navigating variety of workflows, because I know that tends to be your world, right? The average person may have their email Zapier to their Notion to put like one or two things in place. But if you've got lots of workflows and automations and you're coming into this year, like a lot of my things need to change and all my systems now have AI. So how do my automations play with that? What are some trends that you're seeing and how people are going about making that transition?
Making the transition from one to many systems, or AI and a system without AI to a system with AI?
I would say a little bit more of the second, of like a system without AI and a system that has AI, but also like just your general suggestions for if you wanted to upgrade your automations and you're looking at like 2025 made you know that there are things that are just, like stale, they need to be upgraded. Where should you start? Because you could break something.
Yeah. Well, always an audit. That's always the first step of everything I do, y'all, because I'm a systems engineer, right? So if I'm going into an existing system, which typically is what happens, although, when I have the unique opportunity to build a system from scratch, wow, that's juicy. But going into a pre-existing system, I got to audit it first, right? Like a mechanic, like inspecting the car and everything before we assess the true problem, especially because you don't know what you don't know, right? So folks will come in and be like, okay, the system's outdated, and they'll say how, and they're completely missing this other whole section that also needs to be updated, right? And it's because they don't even know what's underneath the hood. right? That's why you got to bring in an automation expert, a systems expert to go in and audit your situation, right? And this is something you can use AI for, right? Internal research, internal auditing, feed it that data, right? I would just say, again, the line is be customer about feed, be sensitive around feeding it customer data, right? No client personal information, y'all. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you're feeding it data on your process, right? And what your intended outcomes are, those are two different things that need to be defined because again, you don't know what you don't know. So you may be like, oh, this is how I get to Z. Meanwhile, no, this is actually how you get to Z. Right? But you just didn't know that EFG was a part of the equation. Right?
Yeah.
So auditing is always the place where I would say to start.
And I also heard a little bit behind what was there as well is like maybe you tell, your favorite AI, conversation like, hey, here's how I'm currently going about this system. Is there anything that you see that I could do more efficiently? And then bring that to an expert and go, hey, this is what was said. Is there anything that you're seeing there that I'm missing? Right? Because for the average person, the average entrepreneur that's listening to this podcast, you are likely not operations focused. You may not be technically clear in the same way that so many of these people are, right? Come and bring it to somebody that is. And ask, what I mean? Like, hey, what do you see that I don't see? I think that there's something so powerful about that as well. And even if, you don't have an expert in your world, look at other people who are doing business to the left and the right of you. Is there something that they do that you really enjoy? Could you ask them about their workflows? We'll get a little bit more in that when I go, because I think I'm interested in us having more inquiries about that. But Pia, I also want to kind of round it out before I go to Peya and Mycah. Anything else that you're seeing that you kind of just want to make sure that we're being aware of as we come into 26?
I don't know if this is kind of like doubling down on something that was already said, but it's like really try to be more authentic, more focus more on meaningful problems, like really think like purpose over profit. I think we're in an age where we need to really now start leaning into those things in business. Because how we've done business in the past, very capitalistic, that's dying. And if we keep doing those things, we're going to die with it.
I would agree. Peya, I'm going to kick it to you first because I saw a spark happen in that world. What are you thinking about that? What is that spark for you? Any reflections there?
I love that. That's my favorite thing that we've said today. It is because, especially in this group, right? In all of us and even across the cousins, it's just not how we do business. In the heart of all of us, it's not how we do business. We have been operating in a world and we've been trying to adapt our very open hearts to adapt to this very not us system. And it just doesn't work. And the only reason we've had to shove ourselves into this hole is because this is all there is. And now enter the age of Aquarius. And now the world is shifting. The world is shifting and it's shifting in our favor. And so I think it's our time to really not stay hidden, says the girl who never wants to be seen. But we can't stay hidden. Now it's our time to stand up and encourage and all of us are people who we don't stand up on our own. We're standing up and we're grabbing our neighbors and our business friends and we're like, hey, we're going that way. Put your shoes on. We're going. And we're always grabbing people to come with us. So I think it's time to show up as ourselves and knowing ourselves and encouraging the people around us, the people that we love, the business owners that we love to do the same and let that chain reaction just start. That's what's really going to thrive in 26. All this, can't wait, no tea, no shade, all this bro marketing, it's over for you guys. It's over.
It is over for you, hoes. No shade. And to be fair, and it's you can see it. And I love both of your points. You can go with it or you can go against it. Mycah, I'm interested in your reflections also. Pop on in, round us out.
I totally agree with what everyone is saying around, the capitalist way of doing things is not going to align. And I think when we're stepping into something different, that goes with humanity happening. And with humanity happening, that means that there's a certain type of understanding that we need a certain type of growth that we're going to start to bring in our business. A personal way of being. And I think with that comes with making sure that we're doing the work that's necessary for us. A lot of the conversation that we were having was around our workflow and us knowing ourselves. And so if we don't want to do the capitalist thing, if we don't want to do it for the dollar or staying in something or whatever the case may be, which was a part of the capitalist productivity bullshit that we don't even want to be a part of and we don't want to name, that other thing is the thing that we weren't really probably taught. That other thing is probably like us actually sitting down and having the conversations that's necessary. That other thing is actually us going to go get the help that is necessary, dealing with our traumas, dealing with our fears, having a more authentic way of being able to communicate what those things are with people that you trust, of course. And so I think that is the next conversation that needs to be happening when we're creating these different types of communities, or we are just doing it on our own, on just holding ourselves accountable on how we want to show up if we're not going to do it that way that they've been painting and teaching us to do, because that's the one we know really well. So what's the one that hasn't been getting taught? How do we do that, right? And that's a lot of work that we're going to have to be doing on our own. And I think you should start there of what could you be doing?
And this is that part to me about the plane flying while you're on it, really, right? Because it's we don't really know. To your point, Mycah, we don't really know. We don't really know what it looks like. We're not really clear on kind of what those pieces will be, and we get to find out. And I think that this is so interesting. Again, I'm having to have y'all back again to have a conversation about. It reminds me so much of what Gisette was saying about the financial area. There's the tactical application of the thing, and then there's how you feel about it. And most of the time, you not doing it is how you feel about it. And to Mycah's point, like being able to be authentic is easier said than done if you've not practiced the skill sets of sitting with yourself and doing your work and actually having authenticity be a normal reality around you.
Agreed.
That
and
is a
let's
thing.
not overshoot.
I think
Portia,
yourself.
let's not overshoot, because we're trying not to do the capitalist thing. So then we overshoot and go that way, and then we're gonna have to bring it on back to the middle, because everything, and I hate to be the one that has to say it, but it's the Scorpio of the group. Everything that, the capitalist stupid shit that was going on over there, not everything was wrong. A lot was wrong, though. A lot was wrong, but not everything was wrong. And there are things that we can take and apply to the other side so that we can meet in the middle. But if we overshoot and be like, everything over there was terrible, we're going to miss the mark. It's going to be 20, 25 years of us doing the overshoot. So really, go ahead, Pia. Go take it from there.
I was going to say, insert another buzzword, integration, right? Which is a very important word when it comes to automations. Automations are built off of integrations. And what Mike is talking about is integrating what works in the old system with the new system, or vice versa, right? Integrating the new system, it depends on where you are in the journey. And that's why auditing is important, because then we're going to assess what works and what doesn't work, and then integrate what do, and then keep a log of what don't, okay? Don't forget about it, because you're going to repeat your mistakes.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Peya, was there one more thing that you wanted to say in there? I saw you also being like, oh.
What was I going to say? In this group, at least, like, we're also people who don't really fail. Like, I don't see one person in here who's accustomed to, like, we just don't do that. So if you're a person, like, if you're listening to this or you're watching this and this sounds like, I don't know, girl, this sounds like this ain't for me. This sounds like a lot of work. Align yourself with somebody who maybe can carry you for a little bit. Find a community, find yourself an eldest daughter somewhere, find yourself a big sister somewhere or a big cousin somewhere who you can align yourself with. Show up to somebody's office hour, like, do something if you're more on the timid side or more on the beginner side, because we're also not going to leave you behind.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah. I think that's, this is going to be the year when you don't know where you're going. It is the year to be more networked, not less. Yeah. Because if we don't have systems and structures all the way in place, the people around us at the very least can give us a tap as to how we can kind of orient ourselves. You need more support when there's less structure, not less. Love that as a conversation. And I think that piece around integrating what was in 2025 that worked into 2026, right? You don't leave everything behind, right? You take the things that work and then you reimagine the things that don't. I think the things that are loud for me as we kind of round this conversation out is that that we are completing a 9-year cycle in 2025 going into 2026. And for those of us who've been in business for 9 years, blessed to be in the number. How you started your business may be completely different than the landscape that you're in now. And I think that I really want people to give themselves permission to imagine themselves free in their operations. Like I said, operations has the access to give you that thing that you really want. Every entrepreneur wants stability and consistency in their business. How you operate your business is what gives you that. Every entrepreneur wants peace and profitability in their business. How you operate your business is likely going to give you that. The routines that you do on a regular basis tell me your likelihood of being able to receive the outcomes that you get, as long as you're being strategic about the routines that you do. And understanding that those routines, those things that you've been doing likely need to be audited in this year. What is working? What is not working? Where is your North Star? And has it changed and shifted? And if it has, the pathway towards that North Star must also change and must also shift. I also am so loud for me in this year is that I want people, it's interesting, Peya, because you were like, don't compare yourself to other people. I don't want you to compare yourself to other people. But I do want you to be in other people's business. I want everybody who's listening to the end of this voice, go ask people who you respect how they run their business. Well, how do you make your content? Well, tell me a little bit about your sales process. What do you do on sales calls? Well, how do you go about making your email automations? Ask your friends, ask other business owners what it is that they're doing, not so that you copy and paste what they do, but so you can get the game. Ooh, I might like that. I might not like that.
Say that part louder though. Don't copy and paste. Be curious about how other people are doing things, but don't then take their framework and be like, okay, I'm gonna just drop this in the middle of my Tuesday and that's how I'm gonna do it, because that's not gonna work for you.
Exactly. No such thing. Go ahead, Pia.
It's just another application of like, take what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're being curious so you can, as a like research. This is research. Like, see how other people are doing it, because you don't know what you don't know. Right. And then if you've seen something you're inspired by, take that and integrate that into your system.
Exactly. And freak it for you. Make it for you. It's not that you want the pink shirt that your friend has. You may not look cute in pink. It may just be like, oh, let me see what this shape of shirt looks like on me. Let me see what the ways in which is it the color? Maybe let me try it in different ways. That's, I think, the thing that is imperative is there is no reality coming into a 1 year where you're going to be able to be asleep at the wheel. You are going to have discernment, but you can't be what you can't see. And if you don't ask people about the ways that they run their business, you'll never know that something else is possible. Because like Peya said, all the bro marketers taught us that there was one way to business. Yep. Now we know there are thousands of ways to business. And the issue with both of those is that neither of them are your way to business. This is a year to get really clear and centered around what your way of business is. And one way to do that is to start to expose yourself to different ways of operating your business. Start to talk to operations folks. I know most of you entrepreneurs, most of us, operations and finance, you have this thought process that your business has to get to a certain level before you can become ops focused. And the answer is actually not that. It needs to be day one. Start talking to your ops people in your world. If you have a system and a network that is not including of operations, people, building folks that are in the tech space, now's a good time to build those relationships because they see the world differently. They see your systems differently than you see them because they're right here for you because it's so close to the heart. Surround yourself by people who can give you another way of looking at things. That was also really, really loud to me. The last kind of thing that I wanted to make sure to say that I want us to be prepared for as we're navigating into 2026 is that 2026 is going to be a year to simplify. Get simple. You can go ask ChatGPT to write you 100 complicated workflows that you don't even use. What are the ones that are working? What works? And how can we double down on what's working? How can we reimagine what does not? And how do we be consistent about facing our front, right? Like the Nigerians say, face your front. Like what is yours to do is yours to do. And if you don't simplify, you're going to do 100,000 things. And as the world gets more and more complex, it's going to be more difficult to have that energy without burning out. It's not about doing everything. It's about getting closer to what you think your thing is and then trying to cut the fat. And resetting your routines to your new definition of success, not the old one. right? I'm going to guess that 90% of the people who are listening to my voice, there are routines in your business right now that need to die. They need to shift. They need to change. You need to reset your routines. You may be thinking that everything is going great. Have somebody else audit your business and then ask them what routines, if they were you, that they would choose to reset. And I promise you, you may get some insight into a freedom that you didn't even know was possible because you've been in it for a while, right? Where you're inundated with that 9 year of all of these years of something working. The landscape is really changing. And I want you all to have the freedom and the permission that you are allowed to have something that feels better than this. And there are ways in which you can start to discover it. Give yourself permission to kind of do that work. Those are the things that were loud for me. I know I want to kind of wrap us because we're coming down to at the end of said conversation. Any other reflections? I will open it up. I think I'll start with Peya and then we'll go Pia and Mycah. Last reflections on anything that I have had to say and or anything that you want to leave with the people as kind of like last notes of 26, last quotations. Last reflections.
I think my last reflection for this is if you have CEO time or like admin time on your calendar right now, go to your calendar and look at it for the last 4 weeks. And if you can't remember what you did during that time, just delete the series. Delete it off your calendar. Give yourself that time back, free up that space immediately. That's not working. That's you lying to yourself. And let that be the catalyst that starts this, like everything we talked about in this conversation. This can be your first step.
So stop doing things that aren't working, but start doing some auditing maybe with that time that you have given yourself around that. Love. Mycah, last reflections from you.
I think for me, it's your emotions. I think your stress level is a lot more severe than you think it is. And it is absolutely connected to how you show up in your business, how you're showing up with your team. And it's absolutely bleeding into your personal and business life. And so I think really addressing your stress and figuring out why is it even happening in the first place and diving into those things is a key thing that I think you should start with, because it will lead you to thinking about, well, how do I want my workday and my week to go? How do I need to show up in my personal life and my business life? I don't think we talk about that enough when it comes to business. As far as we talk about burnout, but I don't think there's really a focus on, okay, well, let's get to the nitty gritty of why burnout is happening and actually saying enough is enough. I think to today's date, I haven't burned myself out in a whole year. And I think it's because I was intentional about my energy. Right? Now, let me be clear. Were there stressful times? Absolutely. Did crazy stuff happen to me in the year of the 9? Absolutely. But I can say that I have not felt burnout. I've absolutely been able to show up to things. And that's because I was like, yeah, I'm going to pay attention to the thing. I don't want this to be my narrative. I'm tired of my narrative sounding like everybody else's. Right? I don't want my narrative to be, I keep burning out. Okay, well, what are you going to do about it? Okay, this is what I'm going to do about it. I have to pay attention to it. I have to pay attention to what is actually bringing stress to me. And what am I going to do about that? And do it, right? Show up for yourself, right? So that's my last little nugget.
Love. Good foundational work. And again, operations is a good place to do that. Pia, opening up for you. Last reflections to leave with the people.
I'm like still caught on a year of not burning out. I'm like, is that possible?
It is, friend.
Okay. My last bit may come from left field, but it's do not rely on one revenue stream.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. One of the things I've learned from 2025 is the market is very temperamental right now. I've been a part of projects that has had to do a lot of shifting to keep up with demands, because the people are just imaginative. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everything is a candy store now. So in order to actually outshine the shininess of everything, you got to diversify yourself, take up space. Yeah. Multiply your revenue streams to keep up with how the market is growing.
Love that. Again, diversify that revenue path. Truthfully, diversify your revenue streams. This is a good year for that because, like you said, the market is changing. And
Yeah.
we're not the only ones having a 1 year. Everyone else is too. So all of the new seeds are going in the ground. All of the new creativity is going in the ground. Like you said, the world is going to be giving you all of the energy to get more imaginative. So I love that. I think, honestly, my lane around this is also go with the flow of the energies that are coming around you and allow yourself to also get innovative. I've said it now almost podcast over podcast. 2026 is going to give you the opportunity to imagine yourself free. Take it. And take it
Right.
particularly in the operations area of your business. If your business feels like a cage, it doesn't have to. Do something about it. Do something about it. Look around and go, if I was to reimagine how I want my business to feel when I run it, what would need to change about how I'm spending my time? What would need to change about who I'm spending it with? What would need to change about, to Pia's point, what I'm offering and where I get revenue from? All of that is housed in the operations conversation of the how. The magic is in the how. I have a special love for the operations area of business because I notice that it is the differentiating factor. 90% of the satisfaction of the people who are around me and their businesses. I want to thank you all so much for listening to this operations conversation. If you are listening, I want you to know that you made one good choice. One good choice is listening to this conversation. Start to think about some things differently. Start to be around some experts that may be able to look at things differently than you do, and allow yourself to really fall more in love with your operations this year, because how you love it is how it's going to love you back. And baby, it is the thing that feels the most like how your business actually works, is in your ops. Thank you so much, Pia. Thank you so much, Peya. Thank you so much, Mycah, for showing up to our community for this entire year and supporting our people and showing up to this conversation. This rounds us out for the state of 2026. I'm sure I'll come give y'all a little exit message of like overarching thoughts that, as a synopsis of everything that everybody has said. But ending this conversation, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this series. And we will see you next time on the Osumaré Learning Podcast. Thanks, y'all. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and consider what was shared today. Thanks to our guests for sharing. Thank you to Portia for holding us in this container. And thank you for listening. We hope that something that was shared today sparks a new idea, inspires a new action, or creates something that you're excited to share with your community.
And thanks to Portia for leading this wonderful conversation and for bringing the vibe. Make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and hit us up on LinkedIn or Instagram. We want to hear what this sparks for you. So do us a favor, drop a review or leave a comment with what you thought.
All right, friends, we will see you next time on the Osumaré Learning Podcast. I'm already looking forward to it.
Me too.